Good evening. The chair calls the September the 8th, 2021 Rutherford County Redistricting Committee to order. Please call the roll.
Craig Harris.
Here.
Jeff Phillips.
Present.
Wayne Blair. Joe Gurley.
Here.
John Marshall.
Here.
Ransom Jones.
Here.
Carolyn Cox.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Have a quorum. Okay, we have approval of the minutes for the last meeting on May 26, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Those were emailed out after the May 26th. Okay, do we have a second? Okay. Okay, so those approve the minutes by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Minutes are adopted. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Alan Farley. I'm the chair of the Redistricting Committee. As we start the meeting, I want to go kind of some brief information, and then we'll kind of just go straight into the process from that, but just kind of bring everybody up to speed through what we need to accomplish also for the committee members and also for the public. And make sure that when you do speak in, just make sure you turn your mic on so that way we get everything recorded. Okay. It is redistricting time in Rutherford County. This is solely the county commission districts that we are doing the redistricting for, not the state house, state senate, or congressional districts. Just want to make sure that the general public knows and understands that. The census was delivered, and Rutherford County has 341,486 citizens in Rutherford County as of 2020. I think we've probably added a few more since then, but that's right at a 30% increase over the 2010 census. What you have before you also have on your desk there, but this is the 2020 populations as the 2010 districts. So the districts as they currently are drawn today, based on the 2010 census, this is the population that came back, and as you see, the growth has pretty much been considerably to the south and southwest part of the county. The dark burgundy area there is where we've had the most growth. The range runs from a minus 16% to a increase of 56%. District 15 was a 16% under, whereas District 20 was 56% over. So that gives you the breakdown of kind of where the population has increased in our county. This committee was established by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to develop a plan to submit back to the commission for their consideration. Tennessee County Commission districts are established by the County Commission, and the voting precincts are established by the County Election Commission. So what we'll be doing is preparing the boundaries for the districts, and then at that point in time that's adopted, the County Election Commission will adopt the precinct boundaries. Also on your desk, you have a binded copy of the Guide to Local Redistricting that was actually provided, put together and provided by the Comptroller's Office. And so that covers a lot of information. I know you've had a printed out version of back at our last meeting, but I wanted to make sure you did have a bound copy of that. Also, too, the public can gather this information by going to the Comptroller's website at tncot.cc/redistricting. The Comptroller's Guide to Local Redistricting is also there, and then the Census Bureau's 2020 website is also information there that you can have access to what we're going through. Okay, getting into the redistricting process, there's going to be several key terms that you'll hear over and over and over, so we want to make sure and kind of touch those. The ideal population is the target population for each district within a county, calculated by dividing the total county population by the number of districts. So the 2020 census population, we have 341,486 with 21 commissioners, one per each district. The ideal population for each district is calculated as 16,261 people per district. And also, we'll have a maximum per district based off of a 10% standard deviation of 17,074 and a minimum population of 15,448. That gives us latitude to get it balanced, which is acceptable by the courts and by the state. The term deviation, you'll hear a lot too. This term represents the difference between the ideal population and the district's actual population and can be expressed in two ways, absolute and relative. Absolute deviation is the positive or negative population total from the ideal population. For example, District 1 has an actual population of 16,800 and an ideal population of 16,000. So the absolute deviation is calculated by 16,800 minus 16,000, which is 800 people over the ideal, which are 5%. So we are within our deviation, so that's acceptable within that target. So that's something that we'll be tabulating. Okay. Redistricting is the delineation of boundaries into districts of equal population, which are done by the state legislature and the county commission districts. Census blocks. You'll hear a lot about census blocks. The lowest level of geography with statistics, bounded by visible features such as streets, roads, streams, railroad tracks, and by non-visible boundaries such as select property lines and city limits, school districts, county limits. In size, may resemble city blocks, but can be quite large in rural areas. As we get into this, we're not able to split census blocks. That's the smallest level of the census data that we can do. So when you move population from one district to another, you have to move the whole group. So we can't split those blocks. So the census came back as far as our census block breakdown. There's 4,461 blocks in Rutherford County, and these are dictated by the Census Bureau. From 0 to 1,841 persons per block. The average of 76.5 persons per block. There's 1,231 blocks that have more than 53 persons. There is 3,230 blocks have equal to or less than 53 persons. And then we have 1,570 blocks that have 0 persons. A lot of those are state right-of-ways and things of that nature that are created. And Mike's going to get into a little more detail here, but this is an example for what we'll be working with. And this example here is you see a map here, which you have 2 districts. And then you will see the district numbers, District 4, District 8, and then the census block, and it says 43 people. So that identifies that block. That's how many people are within that district. So when we go through and moving the population, then that's what the number you'll be looking for to see the boundary of the block and how many is in that block. So that will be what we'll be spending time looking at. Overall deviation is also, this statistic is calculated by determining the difference between the districts with the highest and lowest relative deviation. For example, if the highest and lowest deviations of the districts are ones at +5, meaning it has 5% over the ideal population, and one is a -4, respectively, the overall range is 9%. So once we're done, if your highest district has 5% over ideal and 4% under ideal, then your overall range is 9%, which that's acceptable because all the other districts will be less than 5%. All right, what we're getting into also too is we must redistrict every 10 years. may increase or decrease the number of districts, must use the latest federal census data, and districts shall be reasonably compact, contiguous, and shall not overlap. And prisoners may be excluded if they cannot register to vote, which that doesn't pertain to us because we do not have a prison population in Rutherford County. Also, Tennessee Code annotated 5-5-102. The commission's size shall not go below 9 members, shall not exceed 25 members, no more than 3 members per district, and can have 1 commissioner in some districts and multiple commissioners in other districts, provided the county total is 25 is not exceeded. That's what only pertains to us is 1 per district. Now, earlier I mentioned the 10% rule, the deviation. Previous court cases have viewed a plan with an overall total deviation of 10% or less as safe. A redistricting plan with an overall range below 10% may still be deemed to be unconstitutional if it is found to be discriminatory. If a district's plan must exceed 10%, standard local officials should be prepared to justify the excess with consistently applied non-discriminatory redistricting policies. Okay, the legal considerations that we will take in consideration during this process as well is the Voting Rights Act. The county legislative bodies must also consider minority representation when developing new district plans. The county legislative bodies may not manipulate district boundaries to benefit or hinder a specific group or class. Also, you have on your desk is a little more detailed timeline as we'll go through kind of planning and preparing for this for the remainder part of the fall of the year. But the August 2021 is when we received the data, or the state received the data from the Census Bureau. The local kickoff was September. Today's September the 8th. So September the 8th through November the 3rd, local redistricting will occur. On November the 10th, we will submit this plan before the county commission for its final approval. And then December the 20th is the first day for candidates to pick up qualifying petitions under the new boundaries. If we waited to December, then basically what we would have is we would have the approval of the boundaries on a Thursday, the petitions for pickup on Monday. Well, everybody who comes through our door at the election commission is going to want to know where they are. So we've got to take all that data and input it into 200,000 registered voters. But also, too, if there's any changes or thing that needs to be made or wants the commission wants made, we've got to have another meeting to come and have that adopted and adopted by the commission. So that's the reason why we set the November 10th date as the date to submit this to the commission. Of course, December the 31st is the local redistricting deadline to submit to the comptroller's office. And then January 2022, the legislature will release their redistricting plan, which will consist of the House, Senate, and congressional districts. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments up to this point?
Just one. We mentioned contiguous several times. The last census, the school board, as an example, was not contiguous. We're going to correct that this time?
That is correct. Now, the districts must be contiguous, but the zones don't necessarily have to be contiguous. It's proper to do that because you want to keep those community of interest together. But yes, we will make that will be correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Harris.
I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Once we make these lines and redistricts, will the election commission notify the citizens and tell them what districts they're in?
What will happen then once the boundaries, the precincts are determined, then each voter will receive a brand new voter registration card that will list all that information. But that we won't do that until we receive the state and congressional information, because what we'll do is we'll do one mailing. We don't want to do two mailings. So what we'll do, every voter will get a brand new voter registration card that will list the district, precinct, all that information, congressional district, House, Senate district, all that information, schools, road board zone, school zone, all will be listed on that card. All right, it's kind of setting up our structure. What I've done is I've just, based off a precedent that had, I'm sorry, Carolyn, did you have a question? Oh, I thought, okay. So what I've done is I prepared some guidelines for us to work by through this process. And these recommendations have been established through precedent since 1990. Of course, the first one is comply with the Voting Rights Act and the constitutions of the state and the United States. Two is adjust existing district boundaries with new population via census blocks to create less than 10% standard deviation. The third one would be pinpoint existing elected officials, addresses of record that represent districts and zones, county commissioners, school board, and road board members. Start the process of redrawing the lines with the districts that have the greatest need of additional population, which will also be on the east side. And as you could tell by that earlier map, we're having to pull population from east to west. And then also consider current municipal boundaries for districts within municipal areas, add future subdivision plats and adjacent census blocks when possible if growth is already planned but not yet occurred. And that's basically if we're going into an area that they've not started construction, but it's a continuation of existing subdivision, going ahead and accounting for that into that population, instead of just going ahead and drawing the boundary line at the current, where the development ends, going ahead and taking that, completing that district into that area that hasn't been developed yet to keep that area. There won't be any population there. So those are guidelines, and there's 3 different sets here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read through them, then we can come back and adopt them one at a time, or we can adopt them as a whole there. The second is, before moving forward with a vote to adopt, the committee should ask the following questions and be answered in the affirmative. And that is the completed district inside the overall range of min and max population? Is it compact and contiguous? Is it contiguous with other districts that make up a school or road board zone? Within its sense of community, does not split in half a community if at all possible. For instance, that's like taking, splitting Eagleville, Rockville, Las Casas, and Milton, or, splitting them right in half, where half of Milton is in one district, the other half is in another district, keeping those at whole. Also, within the incumbent commission, school, road board area, did any changes occur in any previous completed district? If yes, did it knock that district out of its min and max range? And then are there any unassigned census blocks between other completed districts? Must account for all census blocks. So those are things that we should look for before we move on to start redrawing the lines of a new district. Is when we complete that one district, we should make sure that all these questions answer in the affirmative. And then also on the recording of minutes, at the completion of a district, a motion would be required to be made and seconded and voted on by the committee to move forward. As the committee moves forward to other districts to bring into compliance, it is possible that some of the past approved districts could possibly be altered. A motion would be required to adopt the most immediate change to the current district under consideration and any change that may have occurred to other districts already approved. If passed, those changes will stand as the most current until another district is approved. As we move through 21 districts, you can see a domino effect occur to adjacent districts. So the minutes will reflect with a map of sufficient detail that clearly delineate the boundary lines. So instead of trying to go through and capture the legal description of each district, because that can get into multiple pages. So basically when we're done, that district map will be printed of that clearly shows the boundaries of each district. Okay, all newly adopted motions will supersede prior adopted motions. For example, if districts 4 and 17 are completed and motions adopted, then when we're working on District 15, a change could occur to where we pulled from District 17 to bring District 15 into its minimum or maximum range, and then all districts still meet the required guidelines. That motion to adopt District 15 would include the changes that we made and adopted that occurred in District 17. So that way you don't have to go back, adopt 15, and then go back and adopt by motion the changes as 17 had been changed. So that way you have one standing motion that adopts those, because you could get into one to where we make a change that could affect 2 or 3 districts, adjoining districts. So that will make sure we keep all of our minutes and reflective and pass, and then you go back and look, so well, we never did reapprove, a district. That way we've got this set, and the process, I think it will be a lot easier to follow. I know that's a lot of information, but do you follow what I'm saying there? Will we send this out to you? Yeah, I mean, we'll need to adopt these guidelines tonight, but yeah, we'll get them to you, so that way. But all this is just how we're going to record the minutes, so that way we have a record of the actions that were taken on that. So, any questions on those guidelines? Okay. Do we want to go back and adopt them one at a time, or do we want to adopt them all as one motion?
I move to adopt the guidelines as one body.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and second. Okay. All those, any discussion? Okay. All right. All those in favor of approving these guidelines signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, at this time, I want to turn it over to, and also kind of a housekeeping measure. Our goal is we're going to try to limit these meetings, because we'll have multiple, to no more than 2 hours. Because once you get to look at these maps and those numbers are very small, you're going to develop a headache, and you're going to not want to go on 3 or 4 hours, because you can get into this, and next thing you know, look up, we're here 3.5 hours. So we'll try to keep those where we've got a good stopping point, and we can pick up at the next meeting. Okay. At this time, I want to turn it over to Mike Curtis, who is our GIS manager for the Rutherford County OIT.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think all of y'all know me and have worked with me in the past on various things. We are going to be using some software that the state provided. Oh, sorry, it's not giving me what I need. I have to do it this way. And this software is using what we call as ArcGIS in the GIS world. And it basically shows data that is spatial in nature and has other data behind it. So if we look at just this block right here, go to blocks, click right here, you can see it has a total population of 152 people and the breakdowns and everything else associated with it. The important thing that you're going to have to realize is that all this data is associated with it and tabulated in this plan statistics. This is where we are starting currently. And what you're going to see here on the map is this area here, which is District 4, which is this red 4. And then as we zoom in closer, you can see the commissioner for 15, which is here, and school board District 3 lives here. and all the different roads are named so that you can see where we're at. As we go through this process, there are some tools that I'll be using to do what you wish as far as selecting and moving each of these. I will be using the source of blocks, and I will be using here to select which blocks we're pulling from to make sure we only pull from certain areas and what the target will be. And I'll be using this as a selection tool. This will cancel a selection. Say we decide to start doing something, then we decide we don't want to do that anymore. That'll be there. And then when we commit them, we'll use this button to commit them. At the beginning of each session, we'll be starting with a date and the meeting. And as we build our plans up, we will go from plan to plan. And so we'll have a history of where we were at the end of such meeting. We knew we were here. If we need to back up for some reason, we can back up. And this software keeps track of everything that we do in that whole process. There are a status over here that I'll leave pinned open. And let's just say I am moving, I'm just going to pick a block right here from 4. I won't commit this, just so you can see how it works, to 15. And I can select here and select this one. And this one block has 4 people in it. And you'll look over here in this status, you'll see going from 15 to 4, there's -4 and +4. Excuse me, +4 and -4. And the percentage deviation right here is where it changes. And the idea is, as the chairman told you a little while ago, that we want to get this down to within ±5. Obviously, 4 people's not going to change it much, but just so you'd see how this works here and how it moves the numbers. And as we go through the process, you'll see me occasionally, especially if you start discussing some things and whatnot, I will click over to either here or here to find unassigned blocks or non-contiguous blocks. So with, like, if we create some orphans or whatever, usually those are 0 population blocks, like medians of interstates and things like that, that sometimes get lost in the process and are very tiny sometimes, but the software finds them for us, and that keeps us legal as far as keeping everything contiguous and compact. I'm just going to cancel those changes there. As we look down here on the right with the plan statistics, you'll see the blue area here. This is your lowest area. The red is your highest area. As you see, District 20 is 56% over, and District 15 is 16% under, and some change. This is just our starting point, and we will be going from there. Are there any questions?
Mike, go over just quickly, because we would love to have everything to be nice squares, rectangles, but one, we don't dictate that. 2, but explain how the census blocks are shaped to kind of, sometimes it gives a odd looking.
I can give you a really good example is up here by Percy Priest Lake. If we turn on the water features here, see this blue area? That's all Percy Priest Lake. If we select one of these blocks, and I am just going to go to all. Obviously, nobody lives there, but that's a block. That whole red area is one block, and it's going to make for some very weird-looking boundaries, but they're easily defensible because they are a natural feature, and everybody understands that natural features go various places. Another place where there's an example of geography messing with our process is this area in the Blackman area. Anybody that's familiar with the Blackman area knows that this is where the rock quarry is. It's up in this area here, and this is all hilltops, just hills. And if we select this block is pretty significant in size. And so you have to realize that when considering things like this, is that you do have some very large blocks and you have some very tiny blocks. And sometimes just by the nature of how the blocks are drawn and determined by the Census Bureau, you have to deal with it. This line right here is a transmission line. And when we did a block boundary reduction program back 5 years ago with the Census Bureau, we actually took advantage of this line, of this power line through here, to actually divide this block up a little bit where we could. But it's still a pretty big block, and there are some other ones in the rural areas that are like that. Did that take care of what you needed?
Yeah, and then also too, what we also want to do is we want to use these permanent boundaries as kind of where we draw our lines, because like 231 north and south. And if you'll look back, and even back to 90, 2000, 2010, the commission districts really haven't changed shapes much, other than some may have shrunk, some may have increased based off of the population that has occurred. But if you look at the top of District 4, and where 4 and 2 meet along the Stones River there, which that's a perfect natural boundary if your population fits, because that boundary won't ever move. But if you sometimes you do have to use an existing municipal boundary. We really don't want to, but you get into a huge, large section of population, and it's going to put you over. So you have to find some type of boundary. Our property line boundary could actually change. So we want to use those type of permanent boundaries as our boundaries to be able to determine the boundary lines for each district. So sometimes that's what creates odd-shaped boundaries as well. So that's just more of just letting people know that, the reason why it's not a perfect square or a perfect rectangle is because those boundaries do get a little exotic from time to time. So, okay. Well, so any questions as far as the process of making changes or boundaries or anything? Because we're prepared, we're ready to go into District 4 now. So, but before we get started, I want to open up for questions.
One quick follow-up. You used districts 15 and 17 a little bit ago as it related to an example. They're both real small districts, and all the blocks are really small in those districts simply because of the concentration of population. As those districts move to the west, like you talked about, so District 17 would probably move into 15, which I'm just throwing this out as an example, to increase the population of 17. So that means 15 would have to grow into another particular area.
It's a shift. You're going to take this block and you're going to shift that block to here, and so you're going to move them by blocks across from west to east or north to south.
So some of those districts, especially the ones that are small districts as far as geography goes, could end up changing significantly.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Those particular districts, most of them are city districts, and Murfreesboro, of course, but those particular districts, even though they're both in essence underpopulated according to the statistics here, could move into the other's district, but that district would also move into someone else's district. So
correct.
There's no way. I've been looking at this thing, and there's no way to avoid that.
Correct.
It has to happen for us to get within that 5% and actually move toward the west.
Correct. And the bad part is, well, it's not bad, but it's the fact that the east part is where you need the most population, and you've got the southwest quadrant over here that's just loaded with population. So it's not going to be an easy fix of pull this here, pull this there. Yep. We're going to actually be moving multiple census blocks multiple times, because we're having to shift this over here to get this number up, but we're still shifting population, knowing that the neighboring district it's going to put more population than it needs. But on down the road, we're going to pull from it at a different location to get everything in balance.
The example that Mike used a minute ago, this block has 4 people in it, that block. Most of those city blocks are going to have a lot more
Correct.
than 4 people in it. So although they would move, it might not have to move all that much simply because of the population.
Correct, correct.
One question. I assume those districts that are within the 10% that we're going to kind of leave alone right now as much as possible, like District 2?
I would love to, but the fact is, well, like 2, it's kind of up there by itself. So chances are, there's nothing to move there. But now, some of the districts that may be inside the city or whatever, they may fall, the city of Laverne, city of Smyrna, whatever, there's going to be some shifting just because you're having to get population
Out,
to the
right.
east part of the east side of the county.
But where you can, we're going to leave the,
Our goal, my goal in the past has been, this is my 4th time of doing this, my goal is to try to create the least amount of confusion for voters. You know, we're a little different because we have vote centers, whereas before, people don't like to change their precinct, you know, a lot of times. So when you change, you had to change their district, but also change where they would have to go vote, which Rutherford County is a little unique because you can go vote anywhere now. So with that, it's a little more flexible, plus with early voting. So, but you'll still have to move, you know, population and be able to get it to balance out. But yes, you're correct there. Okay, any other questions? Okay. All right, so I think let's go ahead and start with 4. It's the furthest point east, and then that way we'll go 4 and then go into 17 and 15, because that quadrant there is our lowest populated, and they need the greatest population moved in. And then what we'll do is we'll go, I guess, go clockwise from that point, because we'll just go west where the population is and then try to disperse from there. So, so the chair just calls, we'll go to District 4. 2 is a perfect boundary there with the river. Their population is almost ideal. So let's look at, this is a rural district for 95% of it. So Mike, let's go down the bottom here and let the committee decide what they want to do with that. This is here is Bradeville Pike going down, Woodbury Highway going down toward Bradeville Pike, John Bragg Highway. So I'm going to turn it over to the committee.
Let me turn the mic on. Yeah, y'all can see my mouse on the screen. So where do y'all want to start? What do you want me to take from 6 and put into 4?
Population, they're 1,600 off
If
from
you-
ideal right now.
Yeah.
So I'd say there needs to be a chunk.
You're going to need a lot. And 6 is currently overpopulated, so you can pull from it.
You do have a natural boundary of 99. Y'all want to take all that from 70 to 99 to see what's there? All right, let's
We
do
can
that.
select all that, and we can look over here in the status and see how much we've got. So I'm just going to draw a fence here. Pick up. All right, that looks like everything from Bradeville Pike all the way up to the John Bragg Highway. If you look over here, 6 is moved from plus 6% to minus 2.43, but more importantly, 4 has moved to minus 1.19. So that's actually a really good place to start.
All right, so that there brings District 4 within the ideal population, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because our ideal population is 16,261. And that puts it at, what, 14?
It would put it at 16,068.
Did I say it's 12,000 or 16,000? Okay, because I get, yeah,
It should be
16,261.
16,261 is the ideal.
12,000 is what they were based off of now, so we're
Yeah.
increasing about 4.
This over here is what it is before we commit. This is what your commit will do, is over here.
So that change there gets 4 where it needs to be. It's still rural area. It's all contiguous. It's compact. It's large, but it's all compacted.
And there are no incumbencies in this area. If you look, you see the green dots, that tells you, Commission 4, Road Board 3. But of course, Road and School Board 3 consists of 4, 6, and 7, so that's not an issue.
So the yellow line up at the top of where we're moving from is John Bragg, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we're taking in everything north of Bradeville Pike.
Yes, sir.
Makes sense.
So it does, it's inside the overall range. It is compact and contiguous. It is also, as far as 4, 6, and 7 is still contiguous to the school zone and the road zone. The sense of community, it does expand the community of Kittrell, so it does meet that. It's within the incumbents of those. And we do not have any other unassigned census blocks there, so it does meet the guidelines that we set forth, if that's what the committee wants to do. You could go into the city and pull population to it, or
There's a little one that looks like a little block up there in the corner.
Which corner, sir? Right here?
Yeah, right there.
This is part of the 4th, currently.
Understand that, but would the map look better if that was included in whatever that is, 4?
Yeah, this is already in 4.
So the other ones would be in 4.
This would all become in 4.
So that would clean it.
okay, go ahead and
Let me commit to
do
it.
a wide view so that way they can see the new full district of 4.
If you see when we, whoops, hold on, I just messed it up. Hold on. This is what it looks like now with 6 and 4. If we commit to,
Can you change that to purple?
I can't change that red to purple. Red is what it, I mean, I can commit it, yes.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
that way they can see the full.
Yeah.
So to the north, you would have the river. And of course, all the other boundaries are intact. The only boundary that shifts is the southern boundary, and it goes from John Bragg Highway down the Bradeville Highway, Highway 99. So this is one that's truly an easy fix. I wish it was all this easy.
From a geography perspective, actually it would increase the size of 4 and decrease the size of 6, which would make it look better on a map to me.
Well, true, but now 6 will have to have some population added to it after having this taken out too. So 6 will shift.
And if you look at 8 is way over anyways. 8's going to have to lose some, so it would be ideal just to keep that pattern going.
Okay. So do we have a motion to adopt or any other changes or any other considerations? Motion to adopt. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, what if we get down the line and we need to make another adjustment? And I mean,
You'll make that, I mean, nothing's concrete until we adopt the entire map.
is there any reason I mean, do we have to vote on each section now or wait till we get a firm position on every district?
Well, I mean, we can do it either way. I mean, our guidelines we did adopt was to go ahead and make that plan, because that way we know that's locked in, because if it ever has to change, we're good. So, but there's going to be some changes. We do know that. But at least for that point in time, we know what this boundary is, so we've recorded based off the actions of this committee. We know what was adopted, and that it could change, but then the minutes will reflect that as well.
But as we address other districts, if it changes slightly in that adoption vote, then it would automatically amend the previous.
Correct, because if we go into 17 here, and they have to pull some population because they're still within the range, when we approve 17, it will also approve the new formation of 4 based off of what was pulled, if that's the case. So you really have, as you move along, your motion is for the one that you're working on, but it will consist of multiple districts. So it's kind of a rolling motion to make sure that we do take action and approval of each decision made by this committee.
Mr. Chairman, can I see the way it is right now? I know, I just want to see it.
Does that get you what you need, Commissioner?
Purple is what District 4 is as right now.
No, well, the lighter purple is District 6. The maroon purple is District 4.
And you just brought it all the way down to John, yes.
The Bradyville Pike.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so yes, ma'am. Cox. I mean, you're going to be, my theory is that you start with what you need to shift most, then that way you've got those set because you're on the eastern part. Then you have the eastern part of your county set, then everything else is pretty much dealing with the western north part. Because it's kind of the way the population is, it's going to shift clockwise. So it's just going to be in that motion because you've got community of interest of Smyrna, Laverne area, Eagleville, Rockville. So it just, in looking at it the other day, it just seemed like to me that was the best flow to where there was consistency of trying to keep everything intact.
I think what Commissioner Phillips alluded to a moment ago is when we get into some of these more dense districts like here in Murfreesboro and back up to the north in the northern end, more urban population type thing, we're going to be doing a lot of shifting, and we're going to be pulling maybe just 1 or 2 census blocks, not a whole section like we can do out here. So it's going to get tedious, and that's the reason we're going to have so many meetings that you have on this list, because it's not going to be an easy process, but it's a necessary process, but not necessarily an easy process, because as we get into the more urban areas, we get into areas that commit more communities and neighborhoods and all that we don't have too much to worry about out in some of the more rural.
Once we get into the core of Murfreesboro and the western part of Murfreesboro, that's where
going to get tedious.
Yeah, that's where Wayne's going to pull what little bit of hair he's got left out, and I'm going to be with him there. But no, So, all right, so 4, we got a motion and a second on 4. So let's go ahead, if there's not any other questions, let's go ahead and take a vote on that. All in favor of adopting 4 as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so District 4 as it stands now is adopted. Okay. All right, so let's go into District 17. And this area here is bordered by East Main Street, Middle Tennessee Boulevard. To the east, is that Rutherford Boulevard?
Yes, sir, this is Rutherford and Northfield. Northfield here, Rutherford here, Main, Middle Tennessee Boulevard, North Tennessee.
All right. So since we're talking dense population here, and the 17 needs to gain 2,500 people, what if you take the northern boundary of East Northfield and take in, no, it's the one, it's be up above, right?
Right, this area?
Okay, School Board 6 is, I'm sorry. Yes, you are correct. So yeah, that section there it takes that and joins that over to Memorial, correct?
Yeah, this is Memorial here, this is Clark.
Okay. So that's part of the campus. But this is that campus area, that still keeps that intact, right? So let's go East Northfield to Memorial and down to District 16, Clark Boulevard and that, see what that does.
Okay, so we're going to pull from 15 into 17.
Yeah, let's just pull that. That may be too much, and we can peel back off of that, but I'd rather start with more and pull back, so.
That puts 17 to less than 1%, but 15 is now really shy.
Okay. Right. So okay, 17 is bound by a commissioner over here in 16, so we can't go west there. But that does, it gives it a funny look, but I guess, but it is, the way it's bordered and bounded, it's easy to look in.
The other thing you could do is you could take these 2 blocks right here out of this consideration and leave Clark as your Clark/Middle Tennessee Boulevard as your boundary here instead of pulling these.
That ties it up.
Mm-hmm. I remember back in 2010, the reason we had to pull these over here was to give 15 just a little bit more to get it within its parameters.
Also, too, was there an issue, because I know that, was there an issue with the census blocks over off of Sloan and those apartments?
Not anymore. The apartment complexes that were over off of Wenlawn, this used to be a really hard block to divide up because it was just one big block right here.
Okay.
And we went through with the block boundary adjustment and put in all those private streets over there, and the Census Bureau accepted them, so it made it much easier to do. But these are just typical blocks.
It would seem, based on the population, that 16 is over, and 15 and 17 are both 15, 17, and 18 are all way under. That we should be taking out a moving part of 16 into 17 to try to balance out. What do we get into there?
All of 16's growth is off Fortress Boulevard. So so part of that Blackman area, so when that shifts off.
So there's not much population change in the eastern part of 16 to pull from. All of that is to the west, is what you're saying.
Right, because 16 grew, how much did it grow by?
Yeah, I get what you're talking
It's all
about
down
now.
because it was all right off that. 'cause
This is gonna-
when
this
I
is
saw
gonna
that
be a
number, I
pain
thought, how
right
did that
here.
area grow? Because it's all downtown, but that fortress area.
18 is down too, so we can't pull from 18.
So, is
Right
that area?
right here's where 16 grew.
Yes, that area right there is what was going to have to shift, so. And plus, that's an odd shape. You've got a core district in downtown that's, you know,
Right. These are where we're going to have to, I think, right there, we're going to wind up having to go back west and pull from some of these high-density, way overpopulation areas into these and then shift over into them. In other words, we're going to have to do the west first, and then once we get overpopulation into 16, then we're going to have to pull out of 16 into 17 and 15 and 18 and so on. Do you see what I'm talking about there?
right. But the thing is, though, but you're going to,
I know it's not going to be easy. Nobody said it would.
all right, go ahead, Mike, because you got a good point there. Because I'm also looking at, we should look at, too, boundaries, because Clark gives a very distinct boundary. So pull that part out of Clark.
These two
and
here?
put that in, pull that out and let that stay. Well, that's going to have to go to 16.
Yeah, well, we can move it to
Okay, so
16,
just
but we
leave
had
that
to
as
do
it.
it
All right.
twice.
So
Yeah.
how does that impact the numbers there?
That puts 17 at minus 2.5.
So it's still within the range?
Yes.
Okay.
You want me to commit to that?
I mean, Jeff, I mean, what's your,
Yeah. With 90,000 population growth, this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be like last time.
I mean, all right, I tell you, all right, so that gets us, so we still have to deal with 16, we still have to deal with 15. So, all right. That keeps it compact and contiguous, and it keeps it part of the MTSU community. So, all right, any other questions are on this?
Now, the green that's showing up there out of 15 will go into 16 then, right?
Correct, yeah, it'd have to go to either 17 or 16. Yeah, so when we get to 16, and
Right.
then we'll go ahead and make that, that there, so.
Yeah, but before I do that, we've got to commit to this first before I can make other changes.
Do we have a motion on adding this part to District 17? All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other question or discussion? Okay, all in favor of adding this into District 17 from District 15, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. So that will be 17 as it stands there. No changes to 4. And we will come back and address that when we get to 16. But I guess you need to go ahead and sign it unassigned.
Yeah, I can
Because
make
we
it
don't want it to
unassigned.
show in the numbers in 15 when we've got to figure out the pull from there.
Anytime you see a District 0, you know that's unassigned.
Okay. All right, so now District 15, which is the one that was the smallest one of all to begin with. All right, so 4 is set, 17 is set, 2 is, 2 is,
Who needs population?
Okay. So 14, 16 are the two likely areas to pull and add for 15.
As I said a minute ago, I think we're going to have to shift, and then we're going to have to shift from these higher stuff eventually. I mean, this is going to take some time. It's going to, we'll have to come back next week, and we get to a certain point, and then we just stop and say,
Right. I mean, it's just you're moving it from this hole to this hole, this hole to this hole, until you finally get all the holes filled. So,
What's the boundary on 15 on that right side?
This right here,
What is that?
that's a creek.
Okay.
That's why it's kind of odd shaped. It took it up to 15,854. It's a minus
You're 2% behind
2.5%.
then at the end, we can come back, or y'all can just say, we're done with it, we've got it set, let's go, or then we can come back and try to, tweak here and there, so. $15. So you'd either pull from the south west out of 16, or you could pull from the, okay, but, so you're not going to, it's not going to be very compact once you, I mean, you may not have any choice.
That's where the hard part is, taking care of 4 when, like, that tributary is the dividing line, but really that's all one community or one area. They're just east going towards Las Casas Pike, DeJarnette to Las Casas Pike area.
And once you cut into there on 4, you drop its population way down, because that's where basically the population in 4 is at. So really 4 is in a place.
we just put people into 4, so we don't want to take anything out of it.
First time we have to come back.
No, I agree with that.
I mean, if you had the idea this would be done in a couple, 2 or 3 meetings, I'm sorry, because this is going to take some time to go through.
Yeah, I think we signed up for the long haul, so.
All right.
But I still think 16.
Mike, what
we've
would-
got population in 16 to pull from.
What would you pull if you went east or west to, was that Regency Park? It goes all the way down?
This is Regency Park here.
Yes.
We pulled this into 15.
15, what does that take it?
Let me set that up. That puts 15 down to 21, and minus 21 from minus 30, so it's about 9% adjustment.
Okay, so that puts 15, it still needs to gain, right?
Yes, sir, it still needs to gain a lot. It's only at 9,000, well, it's at 12,007 right now.
Well, if you go up, you'll split Thompson Lane as a natural boundary, but if you keep going west, do you want to keep going west until we hit that number?
Well,
Now, also too, for what it matters, 14 does not have an incumbent. That commissioner has declared his candidacy for another position, so from that standpoint, his residence is not pertinent, I guess. And I'm not even sure where that is.
You want to look like maybe over to Siegel Road off of Haynes,
That'd be way too,
square it off?
oh, yeah, but I mean, wouldn't that be way too much? That's a lot of housing there.
No, we can just find out by looking. It doesn't hurt to look, right? That's closer. It's still -8%.
But aren't you going to get, if you split it at Siegel, you're going to get people that's really going to be splitting. If you're right around Siegel, I assume goes to Siegel's high school and so on, you're going to have some people voting on one district and some people voting on another district, right there where you have a,
It'd be similar to the Oakland split on the east side.
okay.
Same concept.
Same concept, okay.
That's the sad thing, because you have somebody, I mean, there's always got to be somebody, you got to have a line somewhere, but that's a good point, because
I'm not necessarily opposed to this, but I still would like to see what happens when you take in a portion of 16 instead of this.
But we can
Just
look
for-
at
I
that.
mean, I thought this here was enough population, be way more than what we would need, but even with all this, you're still going to need more. What part of 16 would you want to?
Well, the contiguous part, I mean, that's what you got to go
I
with.
know, but how far do you want to?
I can't see the boundaries. I don't know the exact boundaries there.
I can give you some here. This is Jones Boulevard right here, down to Medical Center Parkway. Sunset Avenue's in here, Hamilton Drive's here. This is Sulphur Springs Road right here.
Yeah, if you just take it down to,
So can
take
you
it down to Medical Center and see what happens.
You want to try to put all this in
Yeah,
15 and just
see
not
what
do this up
happens.
here?
I'm just curious.
Yeah, we can. The beauty of the software is that we can do things like this.
Now, what population do we do? What do we do to
We're
the,
at -6 and 6.8.
in 15?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's,
yeah. 15 would still need to gain a lot.
And 16
would be under by quite a bit.
But we got plenty to pull from into 16 from its neighboring.
well, but keep this in mind too, and I still go back to the days when 19 was at Mitchell Nelson, the old districts back. 16 is a downtown district. It is your downtown, I mean, it's, so, but what you're doing is you're just expanding, because when I first saw this back when it was done, I was like, So what you're doing is you're making your core downtown district just wider and bigger, instead of keeping it compact into the downtown area.
Yeah, well, wipe that out and let's see what else we can do.
I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, by looking at it, what I would like to do is maybe pull some of that back off of Fortress, moving, because 13 is going to have to end up changing somewhat too. So 16 may end up taking part of 13, and then you have that area combined there. It's trying to compact that area more so, because you've got plenty of population out on the west part.
Definitely.
All right, well,
Mr. Chairman, can you please take it back to where we originally looked at going into 14?
This area right here, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think, was it Reganwood, Regency?
All the way, oops, I missed. Yep.
Then you got the high school.
This is Siegel Road right here, Haynes Drive, and Thompson Lane, and 231 and Haynes. That would make you at -8%.
So you still got a lot to gain. Now, I tell you what, now go to, see, look at Battleground down here, because, so that goes to West Northfield, so it's already in that Mitchell-Nelson area.
What if we go Haynes all the way over to Thompson?
Then you're going to split up 14.
You got, yeah, you can't, you got the northern part of 14.
Oh, okay, I see, yeah.
So you're having to take a chunk, you're shrinking the width of 14, so when we, because it's a very long district.
What if we take the river there? Or is that a river down there?
This right here,
Yes.
this is a creek.
Creek, yeah.
Yeah.
What if we take that?
You're talking about put this,
Between there and Haynes,
all right,
in addition to it. Well, we're going to split that again, so, yeah.
I tell you,
Yeah, now where do we stand?
you're at -2%, which is within your window.
And 14 is,
14 would be -35%.
I think you pulled, by going there, you pulled too much out of 14.
right.
I tell you what, go back, take that bottom section out, and let's go back and look at Battleground in 16. Instead of taking that whole 16, let's take a part of it, because it is adjacent to that.
Now, where are you talking about, sir?
All right, I wouldn't take all, well, I would try to keep your boundary, yeah,
Yeah.
Thompson.
Yeah.
This part down here in 16 where Mr. Gordon was
northern
talking
part.
about a while ago, right there, is that Battleground?
Battleground is right here.
Okay, all right. So coming over, all right, but where's Jones Boulevard at over there?
Jones is right here.
All right, so if you split that in half, all the way down to that point, where would that put 15?
How far down Jones did you want to go?
Go to Clark and say, well, I mean, let's start there and see where we're,
You talking about this area right in here?
I'd go West Clark north,
Oh, you're talking about right here?
yes.
Yeah, no further than that.
Yeah, from here to here. All right, including this? Pull from
14's going to
16.
probably have to grow around that other part.
Yeah, let me, that's going to put us over by 1% for 15, which is well within its parameters. 16, it'll put us at 1.4% over, which is well within the parameters. 14, it leaves us down low, but we got more room to expand that direction. So this, as it is, would do what we need for both 16.
And can we go back and assign those 0 parcels up there back into 16?
Yes, sir, I can. Actually, I got to commit these to 15 before I can do that, though.
All right, so pull back, do a wide view, and let's see what 15 makes that out to be now. So the green,
Let me do something to help see this a little bit better. Let me turn the labels off on these blocks. You can see more road names that way. So 15 would be Thompson Lane, Siegel, Haynes, Sulphur Springs. I don't know which, I think this is Jones? No, Jones is over here. I'm not sure
that's
which
the
one.
existing boundary?
Yeah, that's the
Is that
existing.
Myers?
Maybe Myers, yeah. And then down Jones here, and across Clark, up 230, or up 231 Memorial to Northfield, Northfield over to the existing boundary up by the VA.
And we're 1% over on that.
Yes.
I don't know how we're going to get it any closer. And we've avoided going into the downtown area.
Yeah, because I think that other part, but we're probably going to have to go to 14, because 14 is 30% off now. So, I mean, you know, so, all right. What's the wishes of the committee?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Any other comments? All in favor of adopting 15 as presented on the map, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, 15 is adopted. Okay. All right, so that takes the 3 worst districts and gets them there. Okay, so now, so the eastern part of the county, you have 2, 15, and 4, 17. What's 21? 21's got, well, yeah. Once when we get to 16, we'll commit them, because that's not in anybody's count right now. What I don't really want to do is start doing little nuggets here and there, because then we'll end up, I want to try to keep whole and work one district at a time, because I'll get confused on that. All right, so
21 is still minus 7%.
okay. So 21 and 6, then pretty much you've got, with the exception of 2 districts in the core of downtown, you've got pretty much the eastern side. Then we get into the fun part of, you know, of all the population. So 21 is bordered on the south by Dilton Mankin.
And Wilson Overall Road,
East is,
and Mount Herman Road.
is that Herman or G? Oh, G's over there, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
Mount Herman. Okay.
G's right
I see
here,
G,
Mount
okay.
Herman's here.
And that goes into
John Bragg.
Bragg.
And then Woodcraft up to Maine, then Maine down to 4th, to East Castle, to Baird, and Baird down to Bradyville Pike up to, I don't remember what road this is, Jupiter maybe.
So 18, all right, so we have a commission of 18 on the western portion, and then you've got a school board 5. School board 5 is which zone is
School
that?
Board 5 is 17, 18, and 21.
Okay, so then that one it won't affect, because they're still in that same zone. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
These folks can go, but you got to be careful here because you've got Commissioner 18 right here.
Okay, all right, so that's 41 Manchester Highway on the other part?
Yeah, this is Manchester Pike right here.
All right, what do we got down south of there that we can,
You got Dilton Mankin Road to Wilson Overall.
if you get this one in 6, then you've got everything east done.
Now it's minus 7%.
7%, you're 2%. We gotta move 2% minimum to that. What is that area, go back south there, Mike. What's that little, where Joe B. Jackson, is that any population there where that,
Yeah, there's population in here. I can turn these blocks back
where's the
on.
city boundaries?
They're all over the place in there. I can turn them on if you'd like. That's just going to confuse things.
If you go, all right, right there with the purple and the blue and the, what color is that?
Yeah, so you've got 1,100 people in this block right here.
Is that industry?
No, there's apartments over there.
Oh, okay. Move back to 21 and see what that does.
Okay.
I thought that was industry out there.
But it's kind of an odd-shaped block.
Can you take that other there so it won't?
Yeah, I'm just saying this one here is an odd-shaped one, but if you even it up,
That 3,200 people in that one block?
no, there's 33 and 41. There's two different blocks there. That makes 21 plus 0.5%.
So that's within its margin.
Yeah, but you've got, you might want to pick these up too, just to keep people contiguous.
Okay. Well, what about going all the way up to the, you got one and
Well,
zero?
yeah, you can go all the way
Well,
up
if you
here.
just go that whole section, Elam, everything east of Elam.
Make sure I got all my 0 blocks in here. That's plus 1.54.
There's population, because now we're getting to the meat. There's a lot of meat on the bone there. Okay, all right, so 21 is now in the range, so we got a min max there. It's all contiguous, and that's in the city too, right?
Yes and no.
I thought, so Joe B's not on this?
Not all of it.
But that
It's,
part of
the
Elam-
city's got a weird annexation through there.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so that gets 21 population-wise, it's contiguous, it's compact. By it's compact, we're probably going to get that one, because I think you get into some large tracts when you go further south.
Yeah, you do.
That there, so we do a wide view and see what that full,
Turn these block labels off again. So this is Joe B. Jackson around to Elam Road up to Manchester Pike would be all moving into 21.
and this is probably more just aesthetically, but what about over to the 24 there? Is that, that should be industry there too, right?
This area in here,
The bottom down there, just kind of ties
down
it
here,
up.
this is because of the Elam Road. If you start selecting this, you're going to get into the interstate, and it's going to draw
okay.
a block way up
Yeah.
into here.
We don't need that, okay.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha, all right. All right, so we have 21 within min and max range, meets our criteria that we set forth. It's compact, it's contiguous. Doesn't impact anything that we've done in the past. We have all census blocks accounted for. What's the wishes of the committee? Okay. All right, we have a motion to adopt. Do we have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All in favor of adopting District 21 as presented on the map, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just noticed a non-contiguous one here. Take this 0 block and put it over in 2 just to get it out of the way.
Six, we're
6, you're minus 2.5. And 18, you're minus 24.
got 7, and then you got 8. All right, let's look at 18. All right, the Bellwood area up there, because 13 is going to have to lose. That's kind of, because but the way that's kind of shaped up there, there's a little, is there a way to make 18 more of that, or that church, the little section of, what's that, Broad and Church and that Middle Tennessee Boulevard?
That would make it more contiguous. Not contiguous, but more compact, because it doesn't look, it doesn't have this neck on it.
That's the Bellwood area, right?
Yeah, that's the Bellwood area right here.
I think the Bellwood has more common with that area there than, let's look at that. That does square that district up, and that has more of a downtown.
Yeah, but we're still at minus 17%. We need more.
All right, what about the southern part down there, that county farm, is that?
This area down here, just everything north of the county rock quarry, basically.
Yeah, just where we don't get into,
Yeah, because we get in the county rock quarry, it's one of those big tracks that we can't do much with. This right here.
Do you
And there's
move
very
into
few
7 at all?
population in here.
pardon me?
Move into 7 at all?
Well, I kind of want to, we got a barrier there with 231. I'd like to see what,
Doesn't he cross it up north there?
yeah, it does.
Comes up to the middle fork.
All right, well, you do have Indian Park there.
And we do have this area, this new apartment complex that was over here on the east side of the middle fork of the Stones River that could add population too.
Okay, go ahead and go ahead and put that. 7 is 3,300 people over. That'll pull people out of 7, that'll pull people out of 13, that'll pull people out of, okay.
Well, that's already 18 there anyways.
Oh, that is? What is that there?
This right here is already 18. It was already, because of the way the city had annexed in 2010, it made a weird block. This would fix that issue. We're still minus 14%.
Do you still have more population? All right, what about the Indian Park part, the Indian Park area down below?
You talking about in here?
Yeah, I mean, you got what, the National Drive, Indian Park area there?
You talking about just this area? There's a lot of stuff in this area, a lot of confusion. And a lot of it's remnants of city annexations.
Can you turn the numbers back on? The precinct, or not the precinct, but the block?
Yeah, give me just a second here. I'm just going to leave these so they come on at a much lower level. That way I don't have to keep turning them on and off. As we get it close, we'll see them.
Currently, still needs 3,900 people.
Yeah, it still needs almost 14%.
All right, but if you go Indian Park Drive, down in that section, Indian Park toward National Drive,
Talking about it in here?
yes. That's the only other place contiguous we've got to that part there. But how does that, I don't,
Talking about this area right in
yeah,
here?
how odd are those census blocks there?
That's 329, 230, 335, 474. That's 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14. About 1,400 people, roughly.
We're needing almost 4,000?
We need
Good ideal.
about 2,000. Yeah, need about 2,000.
Go ahead and put that in there, see what that, because
All right. Can I,
I'll tell you what, before, but you,
can we just
you
commit
went down here,
these?
okay, back up.
Yeah.
Go back to this Tiger Hill area here.
right in here?
Yeah, because now we've still got to pull some from 8. So
Yeah.
we'll end up probably having to take, 6 is going to go across 231. It already does, so we may have to pull more. So let's see where we can go there.
You're talking about all the population here just north of the rock quarry?
Yeah, because doesn't look to be that much.
That gets us much closer. We're at -6%
All
now.
right, but those, okay, but I didn't anticipate those blocks being as, where does that go to the river?
Where? I'm sorry.
On the
This
bottom,
is, this is the river here.
all right, but why's that funny shape there of,
This right here?
well, that, and then you also have the one right there, yeah.
Yeah, this is the rock quarry property that I was telling you about that's really odd shaped. You included this in part of it. It would bring you down to -6%.
All right, where is community care there? I'm trying to,
Community care is right here.
I don't think we need to put the rock quarry there.
This is the county rock quarry plus the people that live within it.
I would say take that out and then try to pull it further, that there, and then trying to find further populate, because what was that way kind of split the difference between the southern part and then western part. That Indian Park Drive there, what's right there?
This area?
Yeah, what would that?
There's like 1,400 people in this area.
See what that's got.
Gotta make sure the target's right.
That's the Stones River right there, like the boundary now, right?
The Stones River right here. That puts us +3%. Oh, I got one little one here. Zero pop,
Okay.
so it's okay.
So go ahead and do a wide view out and let's see what, We don't need it, but we're going to have to do something because you're about to get into a section that you. Yeah, yeah. Because, I mean, that helps seven. Seven's got to lose quite a bit. Well, and you can't go to 8 because 8's got to lose it. So now you're going to start seeing the shift up, I think. I think that's kind of where we go with there. Then we had to see what we got after that. My thought. That squares that up there. You're moving Bellwood, which is that downtown part of that district, to the northern part of that boundary. Then you're coming in and tying into that western part. Everything is good and compact and contiguous. Right, that's. Right, and because you got a lot of industry right here, right there, was it Park Avenue or the Esther Lane area there, then you've got, there's a lot of industry right there on that My Textile area there on, right, right. Right. But even though we know that, we can't, we've got to base it off of this 20, you know, right. But we know what's coming, right. Right. Yes. Right, right. Okay, we have a motion on 18 as presented on the map. Do we have a second? We have a second, Mr. Marshall. All right. Any other questions or comments? Yes, I mean, what you got is the 18 boundary, what you're seeing is basically bordered by the purple, bordered by the green. Yes, I mean, it's all red right now, but it goes to that that light-colored red shade of red. Yeah. I'm sorry, sir. I did not realize it. Mike had to take a quick little break, but that area there's now all one color. That's that there. So, okay. So we have a motion and we have a second on District 18 as presented. Other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes as presented. Okay. Okay, we've got, so that leaves District 6 to go. So let's go down to District 6, which is the large purple there on the right, the southeast part of the county. Okay, so with 6, we've got deviation of minus 9.6, so we're 1,500 short of the ideal. So we've pretty much locked in everything else, so let's go. Now we're going to get into the meaty part here because we've got a lot of population. 8 is 21% over. Yeah, so 6, let's go, Mike, let's go, what's the nearest good boundary that's?
You've got part of Stones River down here, East Fork, or West Fork, excuse me, and also down through here. You've got Barfield Crescent Road.
All right, but
You've got Midland
We got
Road.
school board 4, so that's actually what, 8, 9, and 10?
4 is actually 8, 9, and 10.
Okay, so we cannot go, so we can't go that far north.
Yeah.
Now, what did you say, did you say there's a river? or
Yes,
creek?
you got Middle Fork Stones River, or no, excuse me, West Fork Stones River here, and then Panther Creek here that runs over to Midland Road.
All right, well, let's follow Stones River down,
Wait,
what that does.
okay.
But we're going to have quite a bit of population though, right?
Well,
We're at least 1,000 to. Yeah.
Need to go to Midland Road, probably.
Where?
From Panther Creek to Midland Road and down.
Okay. A large landmass though.
oops. Keyboard is not helping me much. That'll give you your population numbers now. So you want to follow the Middle Fork down
Well,
right to here?
somebody mentioned going all the way to Midland Road.
Okay.
I think it was Mr. Marshall.
All right.
Early one.
8 to 6.
So we
Oh,
go
it's a
all,
s-
we go all the
start.
way down to the county line. How far do we go?
That puts us at, that right there puts us at 5% over.
Put 6 at 5% over?
Yeah. If you take this all the way down to the county line, it's going to put 6 over by quite a bit. But you can always take it from someplace
Well,
else.
instead of going all the way to Midland Road, let's go, I think we're going to have to go all the way down, take in Midland, keep it as whole. So I think what we're going to have to do is go narrower, but all the way down to the county line,
Okay.
because we're splitting that community right there.
All right. That's over by 3%. How much further do you want to go?
Well, I mean, I think you're going to have to, that's going to make 8. So the southern boundary there that you blocked out there is what?
This is the Middle Fork of the Stones River. Actually, I'm not sure whether this is the Middle Fork here or the Middle Fork peters out over this direction. Yeah, it's a creek.
That brings 6 to what?
Plus 3.05%. And brings 8 down to 8.5.
Will you need to adjust 7 down more into 6 on that north side any? To alleviate, because as we start to go west, we're going to get into the plus category. I don't know.
7 is plus 8%.
All right, I tell you what, yeah, that's a good point, Mr. Marshall.
But you also have to realize Commissioner 7 is on its southern boundary too.
Okay, so this part of 6 there that's up there, was that Volunteer Road? Well, some of that's Barfield Park though, right?
Yeah.
Can we go, this, because there's no population there, let's go all the way to the end of the park boundary.
And what do you want to do with this?
But move that into 7.
Okay, well, let me just cancel what we got here then.
Because then that may allow us to go take 6
Further down?
further down, because rural needs to stay with rural, because that Christiana rule and the Midland rule. My thought.
That's the southern portion of the Barfield Park. And,
Pay attention to 7.
yeah, it's putting 7 way over, but we knew that was going to happen. But it puts 6 under significantly, which allows us to go further south. You want to go with that?
That's the only option we got to keep that whole.
I'm going to have to clean up, hold on here. Interstate median.
That's those 0
Yeah.
blocks that we talked about, they're state right-of-ways. And
Now we go from 8.
this is, we're gonna end up still working on 6, so 6 is pulling from 7.
So you want me to see what, start taking this into 6 then?
Yeah, that's, so 6 needs what now?
6 needs...
23%?
Yeah.
All right, so if we go back to where Mr. Marshall, Mr. Gordon talked about a while ago, if we go Midland Road down, will that be too much?
Let's find out.
Need to, we can scale back, make it not as wide.
Actually, that puts 6 to minus 1.65%.
Okay, so, all right, let's just go do a wide, so that's within the min and max. All right, let's see the wide view of that. These, you commit that part of, yeah, okay, so you committed that part of 6 to 7?
Yeah, I had to in order to commit,
Right, okay,
in order
all
to explore
Okay.
this.
All right, so that gets 6 as shaped going to the boundary of Barfield Crescent Park,
Yep.
and then following the Stones River over to Midland Road.
Actually, yeah, well, there's a, trying to remember the name of this road right here.
That's existing 6 now, right?
Yeah. That's Crescent Road or Crescent Lane
Okay.
or Webb Road, one of the two.
All right. And so that doesn't...
Then it goes down to the river, or Panther Creek down to Midland Road, and then follows Midland Road all the way out to the county line.
That does not interfere with the school board zones there, right?
No, there's no incumbencies in this area.
All right, so that actually brings 6, it keeps it a rural district. It gives a good boundary of Midland Road, or is that Stones River?
It's Stones River to Webb Road to Panther Creek to Midland Road.
All right, so to Midland Road, okay. All right. That's about as compact as we're going to get that rural district with those large tracts.
Puts it 1.65% under.
I'll move to approve this,
All right,
District 6.
We have a motion to adopt District 6 as presented. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or discussion? Okay, all in favor of District 6 as presented on the map, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We're coming up on shy of the 2-hour mark. We're about to get into some more head scratching, so I think what we do is we go ahead and stop here, and then next Wednesday we will pick up and get into this southwest quadrant and look at pulling those districts there.
Mr. Chairman, could we be sent this map as it is right now, along with these numbers as they are right now?
Yes.
So we can scratch our heads over the
Yeah.
week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will print off in a PDF form each of these districts as they exist, as we have them now, and get those to Rachel, and then she'll get them to you.
PDF version that we can just zoom in with those.
If you just have it emailed to us, that'd work even better. I can print it home.
Then it will also have the plan statistics. That way you see kind of what those numbers are there. Okay. All right, we've actually got a lot further tonight than I thought we would. Yeah. All right, with that, if anybody have any other comments, questions? Have moved for adjournment. We have a motion, we have a second. Have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.